So how about that Fernando Tatis Jr. walk-off home run last night? Yeah, we were sleeping, but it looked exciting. It looked great. Saw it this morning on all the social media channels. Love the peacocking standing there at home plate. Looked like a great moment at Petco Park. Welcome inside of the Barcelona airport. This is literally the final walk for us from the lounge that we just spent a little bit of time in to our gate. So my contribution to today's Section 1904 will last as long as it takes us to get from the D terminal to the E terminal. We're not exactly sure how long that's going to take, but hopefully not too long for the listeners and for us. We do have to board at 12:40. We have a 2 p.m. flight, which is 5 a.m., I think, in San Diego. We stop in Philadelphia. Fingers crossed, everything goes well. Getting back through customs. And we should arrive in San Diego sometime, I think, 9:30, 9:45, somewhere in that range. So potentially back in Imperial Beach by 10:30. And thank you to our good friend Caesar, who told us that he left us a pot of pozole on the counter. So super excited to get back home and have a little bit of food to eat that's not airline food. Got up this morning at 7:30. I just have to say, if you're ever going to Barcelona, and listen, Barcelona's a city that we visited 8 times, 9 times. It could take you weeks, months, I mean, maybe years to explore all the parts of Barcelona, and I'm not even sure that you'd see it all. So many great areas, so many great neighborhoods, so many things to do, so many different seasons where the city just takes on a little bit of a different personality. But since we spent time in Girona, that train ride this morning was €17. It felt like we were in just a completely different. Yeah, we were in a different place, but it felt like we were in I don't know how to describe it. It was spectacular. So about a 35-minute train ride, €17. Really super convenient. Got back in, pulled into the Barcelona main train station, Sants, took a taxi to the airport. You know, the usual drill of having to check bags, and our bags were overweight, so we were taking some things out of one suitcase into another suitcase. Is this our gate?
79.
79? All right, we're already at E70. But, yeah, this will be the final couple of minutes for us here, at least for this trip. I have a feeling we will be back. My wife, I still think there's a slight chance that she is going to turn around and go back to La Repita and go find a Frisian horse to call her own. Any chance of that happening?
100%.
Are you sad?
Beyond sad. I just can't stop thinking about going back and riding on the beach right now.
Yeah, she's not sure how many posts about that experience are too many posts, even all these different days later. But, man, we ate well last night. We tried to learn the Catalan menu to no avail. It was an absolutely hilarious scene of us having to use our phones to Google pictures of what we thought the food was going to be, only to have pictures of rattlesnakes show up and servers laughing at us. You know, sometimes you go into a lot of these restaurants and they can sort of spot us. And they're, it's always a compliment when they give us the Spanish language menu. And we went into a Catalan restaurant, and that language is so different. We could not understand it. And we asked if there was a menu in Spanish, and they're like, nope, Catalan. So I feel like we have something to work on for the future here. But anyhow, should be a good Wednesday in San Diego. Padres walked it off. SDFC, first time ever, a midweek match. Colorado Rapids, first time ever. This was a really, really competitive game when it was played at altitude in Denver. So I have a feeling it'll be competitive again. 2 wins. Let's make it 3 on the bounce for SDFC. We come back and get set for a Saturday night. I hope it's a good crowd. So I'm not sure what they're expecting. I haven't really checked in with anybody here. But I expect it'll probably be a decent Wednesday night. I hope so. So it should be a fun sports day in San Diego. Game 3 against the Angels, and then evening affair at Snapdragon Stadium against the Colorado Rapids. Well, we've made it to our game.
We had time for another glass of cava.
We did have time in the lounge for another glass of cava. It's been a great trip in terms of us using points. I have to thank our guy, H.J. Preller, who once upon a time introduced me to the world of points, lounge access. What credit card is it that we're still using?
Capital One Venture X.
Capital One Venture X, which has what? What's the annual fee on that?
$3.95, I think, but you get free TSA, free $300 in credits, and it's a great card.
300 in travel credit. So it sort of pays for itself as long as you travel, right? I mean, it's a good card for people who travel. So, yeah, we got here, and I'm American Airlines, 70,000 bonus points for signing up. So we actually use points to upgrade our seats and use points to get here and points to get back.
Correct.
So,
my Alaska Airlines credit card came in handy with my points and upgrades as well.
Yeah, these are good travel hacks. By the way, our friend, I wish I was asking Juan this when we had Juan on the podcast the other day from Girona. He flew Air Canada. He left a little bit earlier today. Did not know that this was an option. That just for anybody who's thinking about making their way out, he flew Air Canada from San Diego to Montreal, Barcelona. Left earlier today, said it was a really good experience. So I don't know that we'll ever do that, but it wouldn't even occur to me to look at Air Canada. I don't know if that's one of those Travelocity sort of situations here.
I did look at Air Canada because I was thinking about flying out of Vancouver because I was supposed to be at a conference on Tuesday.
Right. So we'll be back Wednesday night. I think 9:30ish, somewhere in that range. So, and a pot of Pozole awaits us. But Padres, SDFC, and a good Wednesday to everybody as we are recording this, looking into the Mediterranean from this airport, which is pretty solid. The lounge was having a tough day. They had run out of dishes, and Leah had to fight for a couple of glasses of cava. But all is good. All's well that ends well. It was what a convenient way to travel back and forth to Girona, huh? €17, 35 minutes, and it drops you off right in the middle of the city. Right smack dab, walking distance to Montjuic, Las Arenas, and all the fun stuff there, all the subway lines, etc. We were almost adventurous enough to try to take the train to the airport, but it's always stressful when you're flying and you're uncertain how to do a certain thing. And, we made it work. Someone overpacked, and we figured we were going to be taking some stuff out of one suitcase and some stuff into the other suitcase. But that MasterCard also, we had nice priority check-in, which was great because that line looked like it was a bit unpleasant to be in, but we're at the gate. So, John, I'm sure you have more thoughts on what it was that happened with the Padres. I saw some of the news about Johnny Brito and Ethan Salas yesterday, which we didn't discuss, but enjoy your Wednesday. And when we chat next, I'll be sitting at my desk with my wife in the other room at her desk back in Imperial Beach.
Center field. It's back. It is gone. Fernando walks it off deep into the San Diego night. Padres win it.
All right. It's going to be a lot of me today. Hope everyone's okay with that. Darren thanked me yesterday on the podcast, kind of unexpectedly for me. He thanked me for all the work I've been putting in to keep this podcast and this website and this media company running while he's been in España for the last 2 weeks. And, I genuinely appreciated that. I spent a lot of the rest of the day just feeling appreciated for the hard work that I've been putting in. But now it's my turn. Darren's on his way home. The chance of him listening to this are really small, so feel free to text him about anything that I say, because that's the only way he's going to listen to it, because I think he said this on the podcast before. Darren, like most or all of you, really hates the sound of his own voice. So the chance of him listening to a podcast where he's got to get through 9 or 10 minutes of himself talking first to get to me, probably not happening. I am a little bit under the weather today, so I'm going to keep this on the short side, but I wanted to start here. I wanted to start with a thank you. I was going to do an applause, but we'll just do a thank you to Darren Smith, to his wife Leah, to their friend Juan. Darren, for 2 weeks, could have just been enjoying his vacation. But in addition to enjoying his vacation, he moved his schedule around and made it so that just about every single day, he would either send me some audio for the podcast, send me pictures for the Instagram feed, or, find time to join me virtually over the internet so we could record a podcast together. And I that's so great for me. Like, I say this every so often, but before Darren and I were business partners, and even before Darren and I were friends, I was a fan. I was a fan of the Darren Smith Show. I to this day remain an ardent fan of Darren Smith as a sports radio host. And one of the things that I used to hate, and since I used to run the Mighty 1090 social media accounts, I know that other fans of the show used to hate, was when Darren would go on vacation for a couple weeks. And it's not that we didn't think he was entitled to it. He's entitled to vacation. Man works hard. He's allowed to play hard as well. But there was always just a drop-off. There was a drop-off in quality from Darren to whoever was filling in for Darren. And we're selfish and we're babies and we cry on social media about it. And I used to, be like, I guess you'll let me know when Darren's coming back. And it's been really great. I know I've got a lot of messages from you guys, either on the Section 1904 Discord or emailing me, jg@section1904.com, by the way, if you need to reach me for anything. Saying how much you love Darren's check-ins from Spain. You love the cool background noise when he's in Spain. You love the tales of his traveling. And I agree. I think all that stuff is really cool. And I appreciate that Darren brought 2 different microphones and a recording setup and really built a lot of his evening schedules around this podcast. That's been really cool. I'm also really looking forward to Darren getting back to San Diego and us recording like normal people on the same time zone tomorrow. That's going to be great. Like I said, I'm going to try and keep this short because I got a throat thing going on. And Darren, before he left, gave me these really cool lozenges that when you pop one in your mouth, basically your whole head goes numb. It's lovely, but they're also really loud. And I didn't want to hear that sound. I didn't want you guys to hear that sound in the podcast. So I'm counting down the minutes until this is done and I can pop one of those in my mouth. So let's do the NBA real quick. And then I want to focus on the Padres for the duration of this. The NBA can be pretty quick. The Pacers won last night. The Cavs were pathetic, which is really sad. It's really sad. And I know that not everyone here is an NBA fan. I've actually had people say, oh, when you talk NBA, I tune out. Again, I'm going to make this quick, but the Cleveland Cavaliers for the last few years have done everything right. They've done everything right. They have drafted, they have developed. When they saw an opportunity, they traded for Donovan Mitchell because they're like, we need a star to build around. They had this really good core of Donovan Mitchell is great. Darius Garland as his backcourt mate is great. Evan Mobley seems like he could be just a transcendent player in the NBA. Jared Allen, who the Cavs stole in the middle of the night. They took him off the hands of the Brooklyn Nets when all the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving stuff was happening, and they paid almost nothing to get him. And then the rest of the league was like, wait, what do you mean? We could have had Jared Allen. Jared Allen was available for that. We could have had Jared Allen, and they've built this great core. And even this year, after a couple years of getting to the playoffs and it not really working, they're like, okay, we love JB Bickerstaff, but we need to do something with the coaching. We need to upgrade. All right, out goes JB Bickerstaff. In comes Kenny Atkinson. They're so good. They finished with the best record in the Eastern Conference, and Kenny Atkinson wins Coach of the Year. I don't know if that's official yet, but everyone assumes he's going to win Coach of the Year. And they're just this great story of a team a small-ish market team that did everything the right way. And everyone assumed that this would be the year they got over the hump that they've been struggling to get over for the last 2 or 3 years, which is they can win a first-round series against a not great opponent, and they get to the second round, and something happens, and they fall apart, and they lose. And look, the Pacers are really good. I talked about them, I think, yesterday. The Pacers are a really good, really fun team. I put a thing on Blue Sky last night talking about why they're so fun to root for. They're such a great underdog because their superstar, Tyrese Halliburton, was given up on by the Sacramento Kings. They said, we don't want him anymore. What can we get for him? Domantas Sabonis? Cool. Let's go. So the Kings gave up on him. They didn't believe in him. They chose De'Aaron Fox over him, who's now in San Antonio. It's a different story. The Kings are a mess. But they gave up on Halliburton. Rick Carlisle, everyone knew Rick Carlisle was a great coach. The Mavericks gave up on Rick Carlisle anyway. Miles Turner, who is finally reaching his potential as a stretch five who plays awesome defense. There was many years where people are like, he's just never going to reach that potential. He's never going to be that guy. We see flashes of it, but he's never going to be that guy. He's that guy now. And they've built this whole team around, we are going to run harder than you. We are going to run faster than you. We're going to play really tough defense and be really good on offense. And even if they don't have the dogs to match up, there's, when you look at a playoff series, you look at, which team has better top tier talent, which team has better depth, which team has better coaching, which team has better luck, which team's healthier, et cetera, et cetera. The Pacers are almost never going to win the which team has better talent question. But they just beat the number 1 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games. And game 5 was in Cleveland. That was such a bad showing by the Cavs. And granted, Darius Garland playing very hurt. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell playing hurt. But just a terrible, terrible series, terrible game for the Cavs. Who knows what they're going to do this offseason? I get the feeling that they're just going to say, hey, we're going to run it back. We believe in this group. We believe in this coaching staff. We believe that every year we can learn and we can get better. That's probably the right thing for them to do. We'll see. I don't foresee any big offseason moves from them. Good job to the Pacers getting to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years in a row. And last year it was, they got lucky and the teams they're playing keep getting injured. And I'm sure people are going to say that again about them after they beat the Cavs who were facing injuries. Look, part of the reason these teams are getting injured because the Pacers just run them to death. But the other game last night, shout out Pacers, figure yourself out, Cavs. The other game last night was the Nuggets and Thunder. And I don't remember if I talked about this on yesterday's podcast, but I have a real bad feeling about this series. As great as it is, to go back to the thing, Denver has better top tier talent than Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has more depth than maybe any playoff team I've ever seen. Their main issue is that they have too many guys that you can't play 10 guys in a playoff game because no one gets enough minutes to actually have a big impact. But they figured it out. They figured it out last night. I think their rotation kind of went from 9 or 10 to 8, maybe 7. They played great and they caught up to Denver, who quite frankly ran out of gas. If Denver plays a perfect game, they're almost impossible to beat. And Denver was playing a perfect game. And to start the fourth quarter, they had a decision to make of should they rest Jokic, should they rest Murray, should they rest Gordon, and how much should they rest those guys, and how do you stagger that? And David Adelman, who looks exactly like one of my close friends, it's very jarring to watch a Nuggets game right now. And David Adelman, who became the head coach of the Denver Nuggets about a week before the season ended. And we saw this, Memphis did this too. They also fired their coach with 3 or 4 games left in the season. And what happened in their first round series? There was some coaching mistakes that led to a loss or two. And, that's almost predictable. You should not be hiring a brand new coach of your NBA franchise heading into the playoffs. Coaching is a learning experience. Coaching is making mistakes and learning not to do that anymore. And you'd much rather have an entire regular season, or at least half a regular season, a month of regular season, to make some mistakes and learn from them so that you can get better. Instead, these guys are making mistakes in real time on the biggest stage, in the biggest moments, and it could be costing some teams, maybe the Denver Nuggets, a title. So David Adelman, Rick Adelman's kid, decides that he can't pull his starters. It's too important. He can't pull his starters. He needs to leave them in there and build on the lead that they had built in a very good third quarter. And let's see, in the third quarter, Denver scored 30, only gave up 24. They had already had a 2-point lead, so they had an 8-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. They got outscored 34-19 in the fourth quarter. That is a 15-point difference in one quarter. And if you were to ask me how or why, I would tell you there was no real strategy to it. The Denver Nuggets simply ran out of gas. They were just tired. And you could see it in their defensive rotations. You could see it in their second actions on offense. They just didn't have the legs to go a full 48 minutes against Oklahoma City. And that makes sense. I think someone said that Jokic sat for like a couple minutes in the first quarter, and that's about it. Let me see how many minutes he ended up with. So Jokic ended up playing, 44 minutes and 8 seconds. That's an absurd amount of minutes. Christian Brown, 43 minutes. Jamal Murray, 42 minutes. Every single one of those is absurd. Ask me how many players on the Oklahoma City Thunder played for at least 40 minutes in last night's game. 0. The answer is 0. Ask me how many of them played at least 35 minutes in the game. 2. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who scored 31 points and essentially is the Oklahoma City offense. And Jalen Williams, who had an okay game, but was really important on defense and on rebounds. He had an okay offensive game. He had 37 minutes. Shai, 38 minutes and 51 seconds. So Oklahoma City just beating them with depth, kind of as we suspected. And similar to Indiana, an Indiana-Oklahoma City finals would be the smallest market NBA finals in history, I want to say. It definitely would be up there. But it would be really great basketball because both of these teams are just built on the idea of we will wear you down because we play faster than you could possibly play and we have more depth than you do. And it would be a very fast, very crazy, chaotic, tense, stressful NBA finals. It would be great. But for now, Oklahoma City still has to put Denver away. They're up 3-2. They're heading to Denver, where it is really hard to beat the Denver Nuggets because high altitude, thin air, home crowd, etc., etc. That's an interesting series. Let's move on from the NBA. There's a couple games tonight. The Knicks could put away the Celtics tonight. They probably will. And the other game is Minnesota, who I think can put away Golden State, unless I'm mistaken. Let's move on to the Padres. I promise Padres. We're like almost 15 minutes into my part, and I barely talked Padres at all. And I want to focus in on Fernando Tatis Jr. So I said, how long ago was the Pirates series? A week and a half ago? 2 weeks ago? There was that game in Pittsburgh where the offense for the Padres was really struggling. I think it was like a rainy, cold game. No one could really get anything going. And Fernando Tatis Jr., I think in the 9th inning or extra innings, gets to second base, steals third base, ends up stealing home on a ball that dribbled away, 6 inches. By the way, there was a part of last night's game where there was a ball that dribbled away, a foot or two away from the opposing catcher. Jake Cronenworth made a break from first base to second base and just barely beat the throw. And I was sitting there going, he's, 100-something feet away and had a head start. Tatis did this, and the guy didn't even have to throw. It was right in front of him. His speed is amazing. But let's talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. He won that game not by himself, but when the team needed someone to step up and win the game, decidedly win the game. He was there to do so in Pittsburgh. And last night, Fernando Tatis Jr. comes up in the bottom of the ninth of a 4-4 game, I want to say. Yeah, 4-4 game. He comes up in the bottom of the ninth. Diaz had walked before him. And, it's one of those moments where you're saying, oh, Tatis is going to be swinging for the moon. He's going to try and hit this ball to, Chula Vista or something. It's out of the stadium. And I don't know that was his mentality right away. But Kenley Jansen starts off with Diaz, and he throws him 6 cutters. And the first one is in the strike zone. It's kind of down the middle. Diaz swings and misses. It was actually weird. Diaz was way out in front of an 88-mile-an-hour cutter. Almost like he was expecting 100 miles an hour from Kenley Jansen, which I don't think Jansen does anymore or really ever did. Second pitch is the exact same pitch, right down the middle. This one Diaz fouls off. And now I'm just like, oh, this is not going well. The Padres, it's the bottom of the ninth. You don't really want to go into extras. Things can get crazy there. You want to finish them off here. And it's worth noting, I know this is after last night's game, but still, Kenley Jansen has an ERA of 6.55. He has pitched 11 innings this year, and he's given up 8 runs. His career worst ERA is probably this one. 2019 with the Dodgers, 3.71. Yeah, 6.55 would be a dramatic jump for him, but also he's 37 years old, and he's been pitching in baseball for 15 years. Maybe 16 years? So at some point, he's not going to be an elite closer, I imagine. And he might have hit that wall now. But anyway, the next 4 pitches from Jansen after those 2 that Diaz is nowhere near is a cutter up, a cutter up, a cutter up, and a cutter up. Now, the 5th pitch of the at-bat, I'm looking at it now. I didn't notice this at the time. It was in the zone. It probably should have been strike 3. That's a bad call by the umpire, but whatever. Padres get the benefit. This thing kind of swings both ways sometimes. Tatis comes up. First pitch, cutter up. Misses. Ball 1. Second pitch, the first slider that Jansen had thrown. He throws it, and Tatis misses it by a mile. Because I think he was sitting cutter after Jansen had thrown 7 straight. And he gets a slider that maybe looks like a cutter and then drops. It's 10 miles an hour slower. Tatis is ahead of it. He's swinging like it's down the middle. It's out of the zone below. It looked bad. The next pitch, I think he was a little bit in his head because he got a cutter down the middle, 91 miles an hour, and he fouls it off. And Mark Grant caught it immediately and was like, play that back. And they play it back, and he was like, where's that ball? And Don was like, a fastball down the middle, a 91 mile an hour fastball down the middle. And he missed it. And he knew he missed it. And now we're going to get into Tatis's mindset a little bit. But this is when in the first swing that he missed, the slider, the leg kick comes and it goes. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. It seems like it disappears when there's 2 strikes, but when he's really swinging for it, he kind of charges up the leg like he wants to. That first slider, I saw the leg kick. The foul ball, I didn't really. I think he just read it wrong. But I think younger Tatis would have got mad at himself there for missing that. Just start, slapping his head and go, damn it, I should have had that. And Mark Grant's like, yeah, he knows he just missed it. He missed a cookie right there. But he didn't seem like he got that mad at himself. He kind of reset himself and was like, just, you'll get it again. You'll get it again. The next pitch, he throws that slider that breaks below the zone. Tatis identifies it kind of halfway through is able to hold back, not swing at it. Ball 2, 2-2. Kenley Jansen comes back with a cutter in the middle of the strike zone. It's a little bit on the inside edge, but it's essentially a 90-mile-an-hour cutter in the middle of the strike zone to a guy who was looking for a 90-mile-an-hour cutter in the middle of the strike zone. And Tatis sent everyone home happy. Now, I saw Kevin AC mention this. I think AJ Cassavell wrote about this as well. I want to say since that Pittsburgh series, since he got hit on that forearm, which I think was the game after he won with the kind of steal of home, he's been, slumping's the wrong word, but he just hasn't totally been himself, and that's where we've seen the leg kick kind of come and go, and he has some bad at-bats, and he had a couple games where he had multiple strikeouts. But his numbers are still good. He's still a very good player. There's literally no reason to question, him in the lineup, him leading off, him playing every day. He's been good. He just hasn't been dominant. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been MVP level for the last, I'd say, week. Now, he hit a big home run against the Angels the night before to center. Looked great. And that was my, okay, he's back. And in this game, I think he walked twice. I'll pull up the box score in a second. I think he walked twice. But when he hit the home run the night before, I was waiting for the big dramatic, I'm going to stare at it, I'm going to flip the bat, I'm going to yell at the dugout, I'm going to, do my little hop, skip, and jump before I touch third base. And he did a half-assed version of all of it. Even the little skip, it was barely there. He didn't look up. He didn't do a big high five with the third base coach. It almost, and I had seen some people on Blue Sky and Twitter referring to Tatis as being mopey. Mopey Tatis. Mopey Tatis is still mopey, is what they would say. And I saw that and I was yeah, I guess he does seem like something's bothering him. And look, he's a human being, right? Sometimes you're bothered by things. This is his job. Sometimes you go into work and there's a coworker who's pissing you off, or you got trouble at home for whatever reason, or you just don't feel good. You feel tired, worn down, sick, whatever. And Tatis was carrying something. I'm not going to speculate what. I don't care what. He was carrying something with him. And he hit that home run, and it looked like he turned back into whatever the non-mopey version of Tatis is. Exuberant Tatis. He screamed at the dugout like he just hit a playoff-winning home run. Not a game-winning home run, a playoff series-winning home run. Ran around the bases. He got to third base. He does the hop, skip, and jump, and then screams at the third base coach, the dugout, the fans in the crowd. It wasn't an angry scream. It was come on, let's fucking go. And it just felt like the joy was back in his eyes, right? The joy was back in his baseball game. And that was really cool to see. And then, you see all the players, jumping on home plate for him and batting him on the head. He gets the Gatorade shower. I was trying to figure out, he's doing the post-game interview. And while he's doing the post-game interview, I don't know if it was before or after the Gatorade shower, the bullpen guys come walking by, right? Because they leave the bullpen and then they walk into the dugout, and that's how they get to the clubhouse. So they come walking by. And there was someone who was part of the bullpen crew. And the thing about the bullpen crew is it's not just relief pitchers, right? There's bullpen coaches. There's bullpen catchers. There's a bullpen crew. The bullpen crew comes walking by, and some of them are just giving him, pats on the shoulder. Hey, good Jay, great win. It was one guy. He was real tall. He was real blonde. He was real white. I couldn't figure out who he was. I didn't do any sort of research, but I was just I feel like I should know who this guy is. And he got right up in Tatis's chest and face and was doing the thing that two teammates who love and respect each other do, which is he was hyping him up. He's yelling in his face. He's you are that motherfucker. You won that fucking game. And and it was cool because Tatis has always struck me personally. This is personal John Gennaro take. He has always struck me as someone who has a little bit of a difficult time fitting in socially. And I don't mean like he's, got something wrong with him. I just think he's one of those guys who, he kind of likes being alone and he likes being left alone. And he seems like he's kind of the, quiet guy. And I know he likes to dance and stuff like that, but he just doesn't seem like, you never really see him in the dugout hyping up other guys and whatever. He kind of seems like he does his own thing. And that makes sense because, since he was like 19 years old, everyone's assumed like, hey, this is, potential to be one of the greatest baseball players who's ever lived. And he carries that aura around, which can be a good or a bad thing, but he carries that aura around like he's already a superstar baseball player and there's not a lot of other people on his level that he can relate to, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know if he's just maturing or, honestly, some of the distance between him and his teammates could easily be, still years later, fallout from the PED suspension. I don't know if you guys remember, but the initial reaction to Tatis' suspension from Joe Musgrove, from Manny Machado, from the mainstays of the team that are still here were very negative. It was not, hey, we're sticking up for our guy, we believe in our guy, et cetera, et cetera. It was, he let us down. We're disappointed in him. And that's a hard thing for a young kid to deal with for sure. I don't know if he's gotten over that. I don't know if he ever will get over that. But last night felt like a team moment. That felt like okay, this is our guy. We're going to jump on his cape and he's going to carry us as far as we're going to go. And we love him for it and we accept him. And, kind of anything that happened in the past, we're not worried about it type of thing. It felt like a moment that brought everyone together. And this is the main point I want to get to. And this is why I started with the Pirates thing. In an MVP season, there are MVP moments. It's not like it's kind of a statistical award where at the end of the year you look and you go, okay, this guy definitely has the best stats against this guy, whatever. But it's also a narrative award. And if the narrative surrounding Fernando Tatis Jr. is not just he's having the best offensive season that we've ever seen from him, and that is true. Right now, he's having the best offensive season we've ever seen from him. According to Baseball Reference, he already has more WAR this season than he had last year. And he was an all-star last year. Played in 102 games last year. He is, all of his stats say he's even better than he was in 2021 when he posted a 6.6 BWAR and finished third in the MVP race. And that was a season where he played 130 games and he switched positions halfway through because he hurt his shoulder. He came back. He was an outfielder all of a sudden. And then the PED suspension happened in 2022. So he's been working his way back to this. But right now, he's on pace for like a 10 plus WAR season. And yeah, you look at that and you go, okay, that's an MVP season, right? That's a you are the best player on earth type of season if Shohei Ohtani didn't exist. But there's also moments where the team needs a superstar to bring everyone else up and bring the win home. And that's what it was in Pittsburgh when I don't think anyone explicitly said it, but I think Tatis knows now. He gets in those moments and he goes, I have to be the superstar. I have to win this game. This is my job to win this game. And it's an expectation that he puts on himself. But unlike when he's younger and he's like, it's my job to win this game, I'm going to hit a home run, blah, blah, blah. He's like, what can I do in this moment that's going to help my team? I was right, by the way. He had 2 walks last night to go along with the 2-run home run to win it. That's 3 at-bats. That's 5 at-bats. That's 5 plate appearances, 3 at-bats. Anyway, he had a great game, but he played within himself. And that is the point where like someone hits their prime, which is funny because he's how old? 26? Prime to me is when you match your skill. And usually when we talk about prime, we're talking about superstars. When you match your incredible skill that is better than almost everyone else in the sport with control of that skill, control of your adrenaline, control of your emotions, control of your energy, your focus. You can put it all in the place that yields the most amount of success. And Tatis is just in that place right now. Look, we're 40 games into the season for Tatis. I know he's missed some. How many games have the Padres played this year? Padres have played 41 games. Wow, Tatis only missed one game. That can't be right. I guess he's only missed one game. They've played 41. He has appeared in 40 of them. So they're about a quarter of the way through the season. As things are going now, he's going to finish, if he just did that again, he would finish with over 40 home runs, over 100 RBIs, 35-ish steals, 80-ish walks to go against like 120 strikeouts. I mean, it would be a great season, and add to that, the great defense he's been playing. He had game-winning catch against the right field wall. All of these moments stand out. Over the course of 162 games, no one can remember all of them, or most people can't remember all of them. But you can remember moments. You can remember Tatis making the game-saving catch at the right field wall a couple weeks ago. You can remember him stealing home against the Pirates, and you can remember this walk-off home run last night. MVP seasons are built like that because at the end of the year, the voters are thinking, who had the most impact this year? And they're thinking, wow, Tatis, I can think of a handful of games that he won for the Padres. And granted, it's a team game. It's a team effort. There's a lot of things that go into setting up that moment. But he's been delivering in those moments all year long. And that's been incredible to watch. And again, he's 26. This might just be the start of him doing this for the next 5-6 years. I certainly hope so. And I hope he stays healthy, because that's always just been the one drawback with Tatis, is that he pushes himself and his body so hard that he injures himself. And, I'm shocked that he missed the one game. I remember that was after the shoulder thing, which I think happened in Sacramento, where he hurt his shoulder again. That's an ongoing thing. He got hit in the forearm. I think there was another thing with a wrist at some point where it was expected he would miss a game or two, and he missed none. If he can stay healthy all year long and he can play like this all year long, this is a special player. This is a special team. And this is what the beginning of an MVP season feels like. Now, there's a long journey from the beginning of an MVP season to the end of an MVP season. And there's a lot of things that need to happen along the way. But you can't get there without starting here. And the Padres are starting here. Fernando Tatis Jr. is starting here. And for all the concerns about, the Padres, and they were slumping and they lost all these games, these guys were injured, and, they couldn't finish off the Rockies and they lost the series to the Yankees. Padres are half game back of the NL West lead. Half game back. If they played the Dodgers today and they won, they would be in the lead. If they beat the Angels today and the Dodgers lose, the Padres will lead the division. They will be beating the Dodgers. And that's a thing that I think gets lost sometimes when we focus on, oh no, they've lost 2 games in a row or whatever. It's a really good team, and they're healthy again, and they're playing really good baseball again, and they have like an MVP candidate who is carrying them to some of these. Last thing I want to say about the Padres in this game. Actually, one more thing on Tatis. I went back and I thought that I saw the stat that it was his first ever walk-off home run. And I was like, man, it does not seem that long ago that he had his first ever walk-off hit. I thought it was earlier this year. I was wrong. It was the end of last year. It was September of last year. And it was a situation where AJ Hinch and the Detroit Tigers walked the bases loaded, I think, or at least walked the guy in front of Tatis to get to Tatis. And I remember Tatis saying after the game, oh, yeah, I have it. Quote, "I took it personal. As soon as that four fingers went up, it gave me the push that I needed, the energy that I needed. I just wanted to come through for the boys." That's, again, if you can get mad and you can channel that, that's where the magic happens. That's where you can be heads and tails better than an average baseball player, better than an above average baseball player. The superstars have the talent, but they also need that mentality that allows them to get angry or excited or have their adrenaline pushed and to be able to focus and control that to make themselves a better player. All right, last thing on this Padres game, because, yeah, it was a walk-off Tatis hit. It was awesome. Jake Cronenworth deserves a shout-out here. He had a defensive stop in, I don't remember what inning, 7th inning, 8th inning. It was a diving stop to keep a ball on the infield when a guy was rounding third. The guy had to go rushing back to third base. Cronenworth got it, jumped on it, launched the ball home to prevent that guy from going home. And I think that ended up a scoreless inning for the Angels. I should have it written down. But he did that. And later, as mentioned, when the ball got away from the catcher, Cronenworth uses it to steal second. He gets over to third. He ends up coming home on a suicide squeeze type of play or a bunt for a hit that he's able to squeeze home. Great game from him. He's been really good since he came back. Jackson Merrill's been really good since he came back, although not a great game for him last night, but he was still, he's a good, effective baseball player. It's not like he had a bad game. Cronenworth deserves a shout out. That was one of the better games I've seen from him in a while, and he only came off the injured list, 3 games ago? So shout out him. But Darren and I talked yesterday about Dylan Cease and worrying about that forearm cramp and if it could be a problem. And then, on his second pitch of the game, he kind of throws a meatball that ends up getting hit for a 2-run home run, I want to say. And I guess it was a 1-run home run. And it just felt like the wheels were coming off already. And it was like, oh no, is this the Joe Musgrove thing where he's obviously pitching through it and it's going to be a blow up for a couple innings before they pull him and then we got injury. And no, he settled down. And for the rest of the game, he was fantastic. 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, gave up that 1 home run, 5 hits. So that 1 home run. And then I think there was another guy who got on base before they brought in Estrada. Estrada was terrible. Look, the bullpen is running out of gas. I think Tatis even talked about it after the game and said, those guys have been carrying us. It's time for us to carry them a little bit. But Estrada was terrible and, gave up the lead. And I think one of those Cease runs was given up by Estrada, but I don't think we have to worry about Dylan Cease anymore. He was fantastic. The last 2 starts for him now are fantastic. He's starting to look like the guy he was in the second half of last season when he was a borderline Cy Young candidate. So good job by him. That's wonderful for the Padres, who I still almost every game remind myself, like, Yu Darvish is coming back at some point. And I'm not going so far as to say Joe Musgrove is coming back at some point, but Yu Darvish is coming back at some point in the not too distant future. And this could be a team that has Darvish, King, Cease, Pivetta, and then the 5th guy is just maybe it's Kolek, who's been amazing. This could be a really good starting rotation with a really good bullpen, and now a lineup that's healthy and looks really good. Now, are there question marks in terms of depth? Yeah, there are. There's question marks in terms of depth, the bullpen, the rotation, and the lineup. Well, we saw that. We lived through that 2 weeks ago. But if they can get healthy and stay healthy, there's no reason that this Padres team can't win a bunch of games and compete for the NL West title. And that's wonderful. That's a much better team than I think a lot of people were expecting heading into the season, and it proves that Darren Smith, with all of his experience of watching this team, was right to basically say, this was a 2-win team last year who pretty much brought everyone back. I don't see why they couldn't do the same thing again. And right now I don't know if they're on pace for that, but I imagine they're kind of on pace. Let's see, we're about a quarter of the way through. Yeah, they might even be on pace to be a little bit better than that. But again, injuries, health, and luck are probably going to determine a lot of how the NL West shakes out. Right now, the Padres are healthy. They're getting a little bit of luck. There was at least one ball yesterday that dropped in between like 3 Angels outfielders that felt like the first week or two of the season where just everything went right for the Padres. And that was, it's fun. It's fun when things start going right for the Padres again. So anyway, Padres win. Tatis is starting his MVP campaign or on to leg 2 of his MVP campaign. That's great. They will play again tonight. I could probably get you a pitching matchup if I looked really quickly at this. It's not going to tell me. Great job, Apple Sports. I don't want to know the pitching matchup anyway. Padres and Angels play one more tonight. I want to say at 6:40 they do. This is a rubber match. So Padres win this. They win the series, and it is Randy Vasquez against Kyle Hendricks. Vasquez, for all of his problems, does not have Kyle Hendricks' 1-4 record or his 5.3 ERA. So hopefully the Padres come through once again. All right, that's enough of me. You're just listening to me looking at my phone and pulling up stats. So I will be back tomorrow, joined by Darren Smith. I have a couple calls out to some of my friends in the NBA world. Obviously, they're busy. The playoffs are going on. But if I can get some time with one of them, it might be a separate podcast episode where I just talk to them and get kind of a lay of the landscape from a true expert on the NBA playoffs. We'll see if that comes to pass or not. But otherwise, I will be back. Darren Smith will be back. Section 1904 will be back tomorrow and each and every weekday. Until tomorrow, we are out.
Hey there, intrusive thoughts, you don't make sense at all. Wish you would go away with some paracetamol.